Welcome back, guys. Now let's learn about the migration. So in the previous video I have already shown you how to create a model and the migration, so you can watch that video as well. So here first let's do the database connection. So why we need a migration? So in a Laravel, what happens is that we actually do not go to database and manually create the field name for that particular table. Okay, so we just create everything in the migration file. So if you go to database here in a project directory, we have here three migration. You can see here we have the users, password, reset, and the failed jobs. For now, let's look at the users table only. So this is the migration file. This is current migration file, and you can see it is named as like this. We can have the current timestamps when it was created, and then we have create underscore users under table. That means whenever we migrate this, it will create the users table in our database. And you can see it has ID, which will be the auto increment, big integer, and here we have a name. String is a varchar. We have an email, and you can specify this as a unique because email need to be unique. And similarly, we have an email verified at, and we have also mentioned null label here. So whenever you specify null label and whenever you submit this data to the form, this data will be still created and all the results will be stored in the database, even if your email underscore verify at is nullable. You have not mentioned anything, but you want to create data, then still you can do that. Okay, so if you think that name should be the nullable, then you can still copy this and you can paste it here and you can make nullable. So whenever user enters data to the form, and if name is not mentioned, the data will be still created. Okay, so it will not throw any error. And similarly, we have the remember token and timestamps. Timestamps will give the two time, that is created at and updated at. That means when that record was created and when that record was updated. So first thing we have to go is in the environment file, which is .env, and we have a lot of things here. So let's focus on these things here. Okay, so we have the database connection MySQL. So I'm going to use the PHP myadmin for database. So let's make one table here. So I'll just name this as a block. So my block is created, and in Laravel, as I already said, that we're not going to go here and make the table name like post and specify the field. So we do everything with the help of migration file. Okay, and now let's go here. So here we have the host, here the part, and database name is default is Laravel. We can change this as a block, and you can see we have the root, username root in my case, and I don't have any passport, so I'll leave this as blank. So in the config file, in the config folder, we have the database.php here, and everything you can see here. We have the database configuration. So the default is MySQL in my case, so you can change it into whatever you like. So it can be PGSQL, it can be SQLite. So if you change here, you have to specify here. For now, I like to make this as MySQL because I'm using the MySQL database. And we have the connection for here. You can see this is the connection for SQLite, and this is the connection for MySQL, and our default is the MySQL. And similarly, we have for the PGSQL as well, and we have a lot of things here. So now let's focus on this here. So main thing here, we need to focus on these things, and you can see we have a env db underscore database. That means env is whatever you write here, that will be reflected here. So now you can see it is taken from the environment file. So my database is now is the block, and you can see my username is root, and I don't have any password. Okay, so my application is connected to the database. Now first thing we have to make is the migration file. So let's create a migration file. So let me clear everything from here, and I'll create a migration file. Before we create the new table, let's migrate our existing table. Okay, existing migration file, and for that we have to go in the project directory and we'll write a command to migrate this. So it's the php artisan migrate, and you can see all three files has been migrated. And if you check the block, now you have all these of the migration file, migration table. And let's see the users table, and now you can see we have the ID, which is big integer auto increment, name which is varchar, email verified, add is timestamp, and which can be the nullable and it's yes. Similarly, we have the passport, we have the remember token, and the timestamps will get created at and updated at. So here we have the three migration file. Now let's create our own migration file. So let me clear this. And in the previous video I show you how to create the model and migration file at the same time. So that the command was php artisan make and model, and let's say name of the model is post and dash m. That will give the model and the migration file. So if you have not watched this video, please go and watch that video. Okay, so here I want to just focus on the migration. So let's create only the migration file for now. But whenever we create and whenever we work in the project, it is always convenient to create a model and migration at the same time, because instead of writing two commands, one command to create a model and another command to migration, it is easy to create a model and migration at the same time. Okay, but let's focus on only creating a migration here. So the command is php artisan migration, and when you create a model, it will be model make model. When you create a controller, it will be make controller, and when you create a migration, it will be make migration. And then we write create, and let's say our table name will be post s, and then table. So post, so it created the post table, and now we should have that in our migration folder, sorry, in the database folder. So in the database migration and the last migration, you can see here the post. So we have the up and down. The up is actually to create the to migrate this file, and that you have already seen that how to do this with the php artisan migrate command. And this is usually to delete. We can roll back the created data. So that means we can delete, okay, anytime with the command php artisan rollback. So we'll see this later. So now let's focus on this. So let me create a two field here. Okay, so I'll create two field, and the one is will be the title. So I'll make this as a string, title, title of the post, and another will be the body. So I'll mention this text instead of a string, because if we write text we can write a more character. Okay, now let's migrate this as well. So the command is again php artisan migrate. So it's migrated here, and if I click here, and you can see now we have the first as, and we have title which is varchar, we have a body which is text. Now let's roll back this also. Okay, so if I write a php artisan migrate, 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 and roll back. So you can see the currently created table, which was the post, is rollback. That means it is now deleted from the database. Okay, so now again let's migrate this php artisan migrate. So now let's write so let's store some data here in the post table. So in the post table, let's insert some data here. So I'll write here title the post 1 and body 1. So let's create this. It's created. Now whenever you want to add one more field here, you can do in this way. You can write, let's say you can do in this way also. So let's say table, and then you can give again a string, and then you can, let's say, slug or anything. Okay, so now if we write php artisan migrate, it won't migrate because this file has already been migrated. So let's try php artisan migrate. So you can see nothing to migrate. So actually you want to create slug here also, but nothing has been migrated, right? And whenever you do like this php artisan migrate, colon phrase. So what it actually does is that it deletes all the table from the block and re-migrate all the migration file so that we can have a new field with slot. Okay, so on doing this we'll obviously lose all the data that we have already here. So now let's do, and it has created, and if you go here and we have the post here, and you can see we have now slot but data was deleted, right? So in the next video I'll show you how we can add additional field to our existing table and save our previous record as well. So now you see that our data was deleted, but in the next video we'll see how we can add a slot or something like that, any field, and still will be able to save our data. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video.